Welcome to 30 Frames a Second. My name is Greg Lassiter. We'll be right back with the great show this week, so don't touch that dial.
Into the fact where the victim is now the perpetrator and the perpetrator is now the victim. And that just drives me crazy.
Welcome to 30 Frames a Second. Well, who do I have this week? No other than the man himself, the director, the producer, the creator, Nat Wood. Welcome. Welcome to your show, Nat.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Nat, we got a lot of things going on in the world. Not just New York City, the world. I don't even know where to begin, but I do know where to begin. Let's start with the infamous Mayor de Blasio, okay? You know, and I'm going to say let's start with de Blasio because, one, it's not personal really, but I'm not a de Blasio friend, and he's going to be a one-time mayor, okay? Now, all the controversy that went on with, let's just talk about, just briefly, the big hellacious snowstorm that we didn't have that cost the city what a whopping $18 million.
Oh, that much.
That much.
You got $18 million in your pocket.
But it's mine, not the city of New York. Let's just go from there. Let's just talk about how out of tune he is with the city of New York, I think.
Well, certainly the city of New York is different than it was. It's a lot more wussy. Can you say, if you put a W on it, is it cool?
What do you mean by a wussy? What do you mean by?
I mean, like, when I was going to school in New York, I mean, they wouldn't shut down the schools for nothing in the world. I mean, it could be a blizzard, it could be snowing doo-doo. They wouldn't shut down the schools.
Right.
Every kid had sleds. Now I've seen them shut down New York for rain. I've never heard of that before. The subway's gonna get wet. So it's a different atmosphere. It's a different system. Now, New York is Taylor Swift's town now.
Yeah, but not New York. You know what?
I think it was BS. If you ask me what I think, I think it was BS.
It's BS because
it's hard for me to, you know.
We have been known to be a resilient city.
Right.
We bounce back from a lot.
Right.
And now that we got this mayor who closes, if the wind blows too hard, the city is in a big uproar.
Right. See, I think you should take the same roads that the people in the grocery stores take, because nothing shuts them down. No. I mean, the woman was taking your laundry, you know. Right. You know, I'll wash your laundry. It doesn't matter. Just bring them right here. The grocery stores were open. Little restaurants were open. So people who have to get out to get paid, who have to make money, they make money.
Right.
He shuts down the schools, which shuts down a lot of parents and whatnot, because a lot of people not only depend on, that's the only thing that the school system is actually good for, is like babysitting.
Right. Yeah, basically, because they're not teaching our kids anything, right?
They're not teaching the kids anything. Right. And I'd like to get into that. Okay. There's a lot of things that I'm very, very disappointed. Well,
just disappointed, upset, mad. What? Let's just plateau from that.
I'm disappointed because I'm disappointed in the fact that I was right about the fact that de Blasio is a waste of time.
Right.
So that disappoints me. Okay. Being right disappoints me, which is unique. But he's disappointing in a lot of ways. He's weak.
Very weak.
Wishy-washy.
Right.
He does not stick to his principles. He used a whole lot of poverty pimp preachers to get the position.
Right.
Fill in the name.
Would you like for me to fill in the name for you? I'm just saying.
No,
okay, because I'm not. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, and I'm not limited to one poverty pimp.
Right.
I'm
There's
like
a few poverty pimps up there. Yeah. In New York City.
Right. And opportunists, political opportunists in a lot of black churches. The black church ain't all that black.
No, the black church is backed by the black church is backed by white corporate white America, pretty much.
The black church is just like slaves in search of a master. You ain't even got to give them nothing. All you got to do is come and come
endorse
to their
them.
church, right?
And
come
endorse
to their church
and endorse them.
You come, Hillary will come, and they bring the gospel choir and they sing behind them and whatnot.
Kumbaya.
They say cheese and whatnot. They're just so happy that it's
Right.
like Malcolm said.
And
you just want to take a picture with them.
And that's crazy because the black church, as I was growing up, meant a lot of things. That's where the foundation was.
Correct.
It's gotten away from, because you look at the black, I don't want to get off into a tangent about this, but you look at the black church now, they're making hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars and not doing anything for the black community or the ethnic community overall.
Right.
So they're nothing but pimps themselves.
Right.
You know, taking the poor man's money and promise him and saying, oh, God's going to bless you, but give me your money.
Right.
I think that's all bull as well.
Right.
Now let's go back to the education part of it, that New York is so in desperate need of something.
Yeah.
You know, I don't
but
even...
are they? Are the problems of education because New York is in need of something, or are the problems in education due to the fact that they flat out really do not want to give your children a quality education? I don't
What do you mean by that?
Operating in good faith.
Well, when you say operating in good faith, you mean that you don't think New York City itself is offering a quality education? Because if you look at the makeup from Stuyvesant up to, let's say, 86th Street, and the public school system there, you can't even tell that there's a public school system because of how PTA meetings and everything flow. You get above 86th Street, it's a whole different ball game. Now, if they're getting the same, if all public schools are equally getting the same amount of money or stuff or equipment or whatever, is it the government or is it the parent or the lack of participation in the community?
I've had a whole lot of people come here and learn under me. I never asked them. I never asked for a meeting with their mama. I never asked did they have good parents or were their parents in prison. If you come to me, I assume that if you stick around and listen to what I'm saying, you're going to get something out of it. I don't care who you are.
Right.
I have not been disappointed to any great degree. But I go into it assuming that people can learn, and people get that they're expected to learn, and they learn. Having said that, I got into an argument, and it wasn't even an argument. It was a disagreement in tactics and strategies and what to do about the education system. And the person, this was an internet
conversation, right?
Right. And the young lady identified herself as a teacher, and she said some stuff about the kids are horrible, disrespectful, violent, the parents are no good, yada, 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 yada.
What, may I ask, though, do you know what ethnic?
She was black.
She was black.
Her picture was on there. She was black.
Okay.
She was the black teacher. Obviously, she deals with inner city kids and a lot of the kids that she deals with. Right. I said to her, first of all, kids don't. What the hell was that? I didn't say that, y'all. You're right, man. I said to her that parents don't set curriculum.
Right.
And I also said to her that if you are in a school where there is nothing but you need to turn the speaker down because I'm getting feedback to my own voice.
Okay.
I also said to her that I mentioned something about the sophists in Greece, and she obviously had no idea what I was talking about. She came back very belligerent with me, talking about pontificating and all that stuff. And I was trying to come to some sort of where do we go?
Right, right.
That if the kids are violent and unruly and they're in the classroom,
right,
and these are the kids you're dealing with, it's possible that the system set both of you up, not
right,
one of you.
Right.
She came back to me that the bad kid, the parents are no good. This is because the parents is no good. There are some good kids. I pray for them. I said, well, and I came back, well, that's not really a solution.
No, it's
you
not.
know,
right.
You telling me that if I do send my child to your class, and he or she is respectful and eager to learn, that the best they're going to get out of you is a prayer. And that's not acceptable to me.
No, I agree. I agree. And you know what?
She also didn't understand my reference to the Sophists
right,
and Greeks,
right,
in terms of higher education, which surprised me because she's a teacher on the internet.
Oh, she's a teacher on the internet.
So we're having an internet
conversation,
debate.
right? Okay.
So
right,
anything that she doesn't understand, which is my main point,
right? She can go look up.
You can look up
right,
anything now. You stick to a curriculum. The curriculum is not in the best interest of the children that you serve. It is. You go by a philosophy that says Greece was the first civilization. I don't know what the hell that was, because
that's incorrect.
That's stupid.
That's incorrect.
That doesn't even make sense according to their math.
So the system, well, then there's threefold here, I think.
Right.
Okay. Teachers that apply for a job in New York City, the credentials are you have to have a master's or working on your master's degree. That's one. Two, they put you in neighborhoods no other teachers would want to go.
Certain teachers.
Certain teachers. Black teachers are going to go pretty much in black neighborhoods or other neighborhoods.
Right.
Now,
and they're also intractable about the fact that the districting rules and regulations. So you have to take the children that are in the neighborhood, irrespective of whether or not they're geniuses or axe murderers.
But isn't that not to cut you off?
Into a curriculum.
But not that they cut you off, but in New York, aren't you supposed to go to the schools that are in your neighborhood?
Yeah, that's what I mean. You're locked into that.
Until you get in high school. You have to apply.
By that time, you're a total retard.
Yeah, you're lost. Because you have to apply for high school.
Right.
Right. So you get these teachers that are locked into these inner city neighborhoods.
Right.
They're not making a lot of money.
Oh, okay.
They're not making a lot of money.
Okay. I won't quibble about that.
And they got these unruly kids. Where does the parents come in? Does the parents come in?
Sure, if the parents are there, they do. But if the parents are dysfunctional and ignorant themselves, does that mean you just throw the kids to the wolves? Does that necessarily? I mean, some people succeed because of their parents. Some people succeed in spite of their parents.
Right.
So, I mean, that is a factor, but there's a lot of factors that you have to look at. When I talked about curriculum, there is nothing. When I say locked into a curriculum, she is so locked into a curriculum that she would allow me, and I'm not a child, I'm a grandfather.
Right.
You know, you have to deal with me. I got skin in the game.
Right.
You have these kids like this semester, I have them forever.
Right.
So at the very least, you should respectfully listen to me. See what I'm talking about, and then make a decision, and then come back with what you think. You don't just like get all belligerent with me.
Right.
But but the fact of the matter is that teachers are so locked into the curriculum that the idea that you research what it is people are talking about in a time where you have almost all of the data on the planet on one machine that you can access the truth right then and there, aids and abets the ignorance and lack of self-worth that these children have.
Right.
When you say that Greece is the beginning of civilization, that's not even
true.
good arithmetic.
Right. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
But what do you think? Either the system. But it's not. I can't even blame it on the system.
I do.
But how can you blame it on the system? You're an educator. You're sitting down telling our kids that, okay, Greek was the first civilization. That's impossible. You can go to the internet. So is it by design?
But if you take it upon yourself to research it and come back, no matter what you come up with, that's
Greece is
not the answer that you should put on your test. You have to major in duplicity in order to pass the test. And the duplicity is not in the... this is what I mean. Now, this is revisionist history.
Right.
It's not even accurate. Greece goes back to the archaic period, which is 8 BC, 800 years before the Christian era. The first dynastic period of Egypt is 35 BC.
Right, figure that out. The math doesn't make sense.
And you're talking about, you're saying Greece was the first civilization, and it started with this archaic period. Archaic, meaning primitive for all intents and purposes.
Right.
And you say that's the first civilization, but Egypt has had systems of government. First, it's called the first dynastic period of Egypt. Predates Greece by over 2,000 years. By your numbers, I'm not talking about Dr. Ben or Dr. Small. I'm talking about y'all. Y'all say this. That's not even good arithmetic. Also, when you talk about the first archaic period of Greece, you're defining Homer, the Iliad and the Odyssey. Homer is like Stan Lee. He wrote comic books. Achilles dipped him in the water, and she didn't have the brains to just get in the water with him and whatnot, so the ankle would be safe. But those are comic books. Fine, you want to say that, and they weren't even the first ones to come up with comic books. Now, if you're trying to instill upon people that the first civilizations started in Europe, and that Africa provided no civilizations, that duplicity works. But if you're trying to...
But does it? Does it?
Yeah. It empowers whites.
Right, okay. Gotcha.
And it tells black people that they didn't come up with anything.
Right.
But I'm not even talking about trying to tell somebody that this one is better, or this one is not, or this one is... I'm saying,
just
you as a teacher, just the facts. Just the facts. Like
but you know what? So then we're not hiring... Then New York City is not hiring quality teachers.
It's not the teacher's fault. These curriculums come out of Ohio. These curriculums are set in stone.
But if you do your homework, you're not a robot. You're a teacher.
Be a robot.
You're a teacher.
You lose the job. You get sent to the rubber room. But they are mandated to teach according to the curriculum. And the curriculum itself tells you, and they tell you all the time, ain't nothing ever come out of Africa.
But that's not correct.
That's not factual.
Right.
That's not factual.
But what happens when you bring these false...
It's difficult. But
it shouldn't be that difficult, because the fact is this: it's wrong.
It's wrong.
It's wrong.
I made a reference to the sophists, and I made the reference in terms of higher education, because I don't just study stuff to be studying it. I study stuff to understand what's going on now, as so that I can, empower my own grandchildren, as well as everybody around me. And when I don't understand something, the first thing I do is go research. I don't accept the fact that I don't understand it and move on. If I truly don't understand it, I'm going to go look it up. The Sophists were in Greece. They came out of Greece. And what the Sophists were, Sophists or sophistry comes from the Greek term stemming from Sophia, which means wise, wise person. The Sophists were these groups of people Greeks, who went all around Greece and they were the teachers of the day.
Right.
I even made a reference to Socrates hating them. Mm-hmm. She never picked up on this, and
well, maybe was it because of that teacher was uninformed and ignorant?
But she had at her disposal every tool it took to at least look up what I was talking about if she didn't understand it.
Right.
She was a teacher with a degree, a master's degree, who taught other people.
That's scary.
I made a reference to something that she did not understand, and that reference was on the internet. We were talking on the internet.
But she didn't have sense enough.
She didn't have sense enough to go find out what this Negro was talking about. Is he making up words or what? Because a lot of times you find out that people just be making stuff up.
Right.
The Sophists were these teachers, and how they made their money. They were individuals, and they all had like different specialties. One guy would like teach math, another guy would teach philosophy, and they would go all around Greece, and they would get money for teaching the richest people in Greek society.
Right.
And those people, because they were empowered by knowledge and wealth, became the senators, and they ran politics.
Right.
What ended up happening inevitably was that the Sophists started charging more and more money because they were power makers, and you needed that education. So it became so prohibitive that only a handful of people could afford to be educated, which is the same thing that we are going through
now.
Today in the education system,
all
the
way around
healthcare system. So it is a blueprint that was laid by the Sophists. It wasn't just I was saying something to
be saying it.
To say
the
something.
masses
This has to do with the education system. People are coming out of college hundreds of $1,000s in debt with no way of paying it off. With loads of skills. Loads of skills. That's why you get coming up with groups like Anonymous and computer geniuses who are just like bum rushing Sony because they mad. You know, but that's but these are the kinds of things, if you study it, there's a precedent for what we are going through, and the precedent is in the history that you are teaching my children that you don't even understand yourself.
Because you have to know your history.
Correct.
Before
you can plot a future, before you can do anything.
So in essence, it's a lost cause. It is lost. We've lost several generations because of the ignorance of, well, it's a couple things. We lost it because, one, we're not doing our own homework.
Correct.
We need to do our own homework and not just rely on, like when I was growing up, when we were growing up, if we didn't understand something, like you said, we would challenge the teacher.
Right.
That's not happening anymore.
That's not happening. They don't let you challenge them because it's all about behavior control. Also, most of the stuff that my grandchildren learn, they learn from me and the family. Like I'm the guy who's been buying them computers and tablets ever since they were old enough to read. I'm the guy supplying the musical instruments for them to learn. When they would pose questions to me, when I would give them stuff and they didn't understand, I would snap back, you got the damn computer, look it up.
You know, we didn't have that opportunity.
They don't even ask me anymore. If they don't understand something, they instinctively look it up. That's completely different. In point of fact, I don't even need the school system to teach my kids things like history and stuff like that. They can look all that stuff up. I need you to teach them the basics. Reading, writing, and arithmetic. If they can read,
they can write, they know where to go to get the information.
Know where to go to get
and that's what's not being taught.
It's not.
In the school system, not just New York, countrywide, around the country. And that's what's happening in New York, though. But I see a major divide in the New York public school system.
It's a sophist system.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a sophist. I was arguing this point with the teacher whose old lady had just got through collecting $8 million for a private school for white girls or whatnot. And when I told him that there was a problem with the school system,
for rich white girls,
for rich, they were in a rich community, and they were talking about how they had to collect some sort of Catholic rich private school thing.
Right.
And it was, I mean, it's not, it doesn't say white girls on the, but that's all, that's the community. I mean, I'm not saying
let me just stop this for, let me stop before you guys
that
call
Dash woman might not be,
before you call in, I just want to say this.
Kids.
Nat is not a racist by any means, so don't call us with that crap, okay? We're just talking about the facts and how they are.
Right,
you know?
right. I'm just giving you the reality of the situation.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, though. Okay,
well, no, sometimes honesty pisses people off.
Right, honesty pisses people off all the time.
And this is like the raw. But in point of fact, and then I said there's something wrong with the school system. And this is a teacher of renown, living in a rich neighborhood, collecting money for private schools, for girls' school, that is predominantly rich white girls and whatnot, to give them everything, trips, musical instruments, computers and whatnot.
Why don't they give them knowledge?
But it's designed so that they can compete and succeed in a capitalist world.
But they're dumb as rocks.
Yeah, but they're already positioned. When you turn on a movie, you know who you see? You see Wellington Mara's granddaughter getting the Oscar. If you're uniquely positioned to succeed, you can be dumb as a rock.
Right. Sure.
We are not uniquely, as a people, we are not uniquely positioned to succeed.
But but Nat, let me not to cut you off.
You got to hurt somebody.
But you can be, how do you? So 30 frames a second is about solutions.
Right.
We know the problem.
Right.
How do we position ourselves like they position themselves?
First of all, you have to get
yourself.
real. Right. You have to get real. You don't just abrogate authority. You don't just give your children over to somebody. Money is not the biggest thing. The children, your kids need leadership. Your kids need to be able to speak to somebody who has their best interests at heart. A lot of us are I mean, we've been ignorant for so long, you know.
But that's still no excuse, though, Nat.
That is an excuse.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't want it to be. You can't. We got to at some point stop and not use excuse.
This is what I'm saying. And let me put it this way. The response I got from this prominent teacher was, "You can always homeschool."
Right.
Right.
Homeschool? Really?
Well, first of all, that was more being flippant than anything else to a person that he shouldn't be flippant with. But it was Christmas, and I was like the fly in the buttermilk, and I didn't want to spoil Christmas. You know. But first of all, you're coming from a place where you have 5, 6, 7 generations of economic stability and educational stability. For you to homeschool is easy. I come from a place where ain't nobody got no money. You ain't got no time to stay home. You gotta work. You gotta work. You don't bring home enough money to
homeschool your kids, right?
To even feed them, much less homeschool them. And you're not really qualified to school them in a way that would allow them to pass the test that they need to pass to move on and whatnot.
Very good point.
The only reason why things are different now is because I am economically more stable than my parents and grandparents were.
Right.
And now I'm in a position where I can bring the computers home, where I can teach them
but also
make them well-rounded. And my daughter is a teacher herself. But we don't homeschool them.
No.
We give them everything that the school system doesn't get.
Right.
We send disciplined, well-behaved, curious children to the school. They succeed in the school, but they exceed in life because we prepare them for life.
But hold on,
not just to get a job.
Okay, but here's the thing: if we exceed that, if we provide our kids with all the accoutrements that they need to succeed in life, why are we failing?
My family was not able to do that. It took the birth of a Nat Wood to come up with this.
But I'm saying, but not just
Ain't
you.
Too many people spitting out Nat Woods. No. I know y'all would like to flatter yourself. you know, but white America, y'all ain't got one of me either.
But you overall.
I'm alive, you know. If I was a white boy, y'all be throwing roses at my feet.
You'd be really rich.
That's right. That's right.
But here's the thing, though. If we did that in our community, we still do that.
Right.
But we still fail.
But we don't do that in the community. There was a time when we did that in community.
When we came up.
And every time, every time we did that, we ran into roadblocks. We built Black Wall Streets in Florida and Tulsa, Oklahoma. They burned them to the ground. We did a whole lot of things. We kept doing things that exceeded the norm and creating stuff. One of the problems that we have is that we're one and out. If we win one, we quit. We lose one, we quit.
Right.
And just because you are met with resistance does not mean the plan was bad. It just means that somebody else is fighting against you being successful. That's the rules of the game. It's a capitalist society.
But and I often wonder too. You know, the one and out system. You know, I was never raised with the one and out. You weren't raised
neither.
with. We were always raised with pay it forward.
Correct.
Is it generational? Is it that we are not teaching our kids that? And that's what the core of the issue is. Because, like you say, how many times have you and I respectively, have failed in something we did, but we didn't quit?
Right.
You know, we bounced back, dust ourselves off. Is it the kids? Kids, are they today that are doing that, the one and out, or even as they fail, they just sit around and just become useless? Where do the parents come in?
It's a new world. The parents are children.
But still, that's still no excuse.
It's the facts. I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm trying to deal with the reality that exists and figure out how to work around it.
Right.
And in point of fact, a lot of the parents are not going to change. One of the things that we had going for us, at least I had going for when I was growing up, was that no child was the sole responsibility of their parents.
Right. It was a community.
Right. The whole community raised you.
Right.
So
it takes a village.
Right. Right.
It really did.
So
Hillary didn't come up with that.
Right.
Or exclusively. We did that long before Hillary came up with it.
Even if it was a bunch of y'all fatherless children, your mama was a dope fiend.
Right.
You still had the same community forcing you to go to school, forcing you to take your butt home off the street,
having some respect.
Else. That's right.
Having respect,
you still had
self-respect
all over the place,
and you got respected.
Right. And you had to answer to parents all over the place.
That's correct.
We have to get back to that collective. We got calls.
Caller, welcome to 30 Frames a Second.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers.
Wait, salam, brother.
I just want to say this here, brother. I think that, first of all, we got to start understanding that we have to teach our own children, as our own people, have to teach our own history. If we don't teach our children their own history, how are they ever going to understand who they are, where they're coming from, and who they have to deal with? These people are not going to teach your children anything about you. And Bloomberg made that perfectly clear when he kept breaking up closing all these different schools in black and brown communities. You have to teach your own children. The way that you can start doing that, you can start your own organizations, take them to the Schomburg, go to your churches, teach them the black history, and also they have what they call Malcolm Shabazz Crown Muhammad School. They teach children about the history of our people, they teach children about morality, and they teach our children about the creator of this world that we're living in. We are going to have to be the ones who teach our children, and we must demand our politicians put our history in these different schools. They got history of everybody in these schools, especially the white man. Teach them something about the white man. Your children are never going to learn anything. Y'all brothers be blessed, and that is my comment.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Before we answer any questions, let's go on to our...
Yeah, go on.
Caller, you're on the air. Welcome to 30 Frames.
Yeah, brilliant show, brothers.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, bro.
Thanks for watching.
Like, as always, when I listen to y'all brothers, I can't help but go off on my own, like, mental thing. And I was just like, wow, like, when our ancestors came here, we were subject to the death penalty, and we even looked like we knew what a verb or noun was. You know what I'm saying? Like, the actual...
Right.
We lose the call?
I think we lost the call. Call back, brother, because you always come up with some dynamite stuff.
Let's go to the next call.
Yeah, we're a little short-sheeted back there. But,
Yeah.
make sure you call back. If you hear me, brother, make sure you call back.
Caller, welcome to 30
And when he
Frames.
calls back, put him right through.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hey, man,
brother, how you doing?
Well, thanks for
All
watching.
right, how you guys doing?
Fabulous.
Oh, fine, thank you.
All right, in reference to de Blasio, I just want to say, first and foremost, if we remember last year when we got a snowstorm, now this past storm that you guys were referring to, the great big blizzard that never happened.
Snowpocalypse, yeah.
We actually got 8 inches of snow.
Right.
And last year, de Blasio caught flack for sending the kids to school in basically the same amount of snow.
Right.
And we had the chancellor to even make a comment saying, oh, it's a pretty day, the sun is shining, and the kids need to be in school. And they caught flack behind that. Now, I'm all for erring on the side of caution, and he was just going by what he was being told and what was being reported. Yesterday's, that ice that was out there yesterday, even though it was only like 6 inches, it was hell to get around because I had to go out in it. And if we also remember last year with the snowstorm, we had a whole lot of people complaining about their streets not being plowed. And with the last 2 snowstorms, I didn't hear anybody complain about their streets not being plowed. So you live and you learn from these situations. Because if you remember when we got the snowstorm when Bloomberg was mayor, the city came to a halt. And the ambulances couldn't get through to people, and people died in all that snow. So we live and we learn from these situations. Second, as far as education is concerned, these parents and these kids don't realize how much technology is here to help them. Whereas we, like Nat Wood and myself, we didn't have those tools. We didn't have computers. We didn't have the internet. We actually had to sit down and put pen to paper and write out 1,000 words.
We had encyclopedias.
We sat there counting those words to make sure we got the 1,000 words. And, unfortunately, today, mommy's on Facebook, she got the room door closed. Daughter's on Facebook, she got the room door closed. And son is on Facebook, and they got the room door closed. And nobody and nobody's learning anything. The old village that it takes to raise a child needs to be reinforced, and our children need to know their history and know where it comes from. And it's not just some stupid guy named Lil Wayne talking about making negative comments about Emmett Till. Okay? Have a good day, gentlemen.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother.
Now,
I kind of want to respond.
Okay, I was going to ask you. Let's respond to that.
Well, there's a couple of things I want. Hopefully that's the caller we lost.
Okay, caller.
If that's the caller we lost, make sure he gets on and don't.
Yeah.
All right, keep him on. Don't cut him off.
I just wanted to say that, our people going to have to start putting emphasis. Hello?
Yeah,
go ahead, brother.
You here, brother. You ain't get cut off.
Okay, I was just going to say our people got to just start putting emphasis on the fact that just because school ends at 3 o'clock doesn't mean the learning process.
School don't end.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Every time I think about the fact that our ancestors were subject to death for reading and writing, how did we turn our backs on that?
Right.
Somehow we were supposed to say, hey, there must be something to this for them to have to go through that measure.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And there is something to it. Because anybody that's educated isn't going to put up with a lot of stuff that they throw at them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's by design when you start to see a lot of the things that's going on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's why they think that they can run around shooting us and all that other stuff. Because we don't know the wherewithal and whatnot to address none of this stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's how come, the NYPD floods the call on New York One and whatnot, because they use that as a propaganda tool and whatnot.
It's true.
And
Very
a lot
true.
of these people can't get on TV and articulate themselves right because they're so busy trying to throw $200 pants on their behind and so on and so forth. Ain't nobody trying to put $200 on a book or something like that. Everything is about what you got materially. It's nothing about what's up in your head no more.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And somehow we got to prioritize because they're basically turning the clock back on us.
Yeah.
Very
You know
much
what
so.
I'm saying? And they
Very
even
much so.
you know, I'm gonna just say this, and then I'm gonna stop. I was just watching on PBS. They had Clanville, USA, and whatnot about the Klan back in the '60s and whatnot. One of the biggest shots. Long story short, the lead Klan guy, he got caught up embezzling, so on and so forth. A lot of the Klan members got disillusioned and whatnot, started their own chapters. And one thing that they even stated, that a lot of these Klan members went into the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So there's a reason why things are happening and whatnot. But I bet you a lot of our people were looking at Martin reruns. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's education, knowledge. That's what it's about. Y'all brothers stay up.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you, brother.
Go ahead. I want you to respond to the first caller. You can respond to both of them.
I'm going to respond to a few things. First, I'm going to start with the first caller. The first caller is right. We need to teach our children. We need to ensure that they have cultural awareness, that they understand their own history, that they understand the facts about the way things have occurred within the history of the world.
Right.
However, if you are able to do that, you are probably not one of the people that I am talking about.
Right.
You are already aware of who you are and what your responsibility is. And if everyone was able to do that, if everyone knew their responsibility, we'd be talking about that stupid call they made at the football game instead of education.
Right.
So it's not just a question of teaching your children. We have to re-educate our community. We have gotten so far away from being responsible.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? And the people, the first before caller, we call in it, before you say, we have to work, we have to take care of our families. We all did that growing up. My family, my parents had to do that growing up. So why do you think that's happening? Why do you think we have to re-educate our community? We've been reprogrammed.
First of all, we've been reprogrammed to think we've arrived. Somehow they got us convinced that if we spend a couple of $100 on sneakers, that puts us on a level with Mike Bloomberg.
Not even remotely true.
Not even. If all the money you got is in a shoebox, you ain't got no money. So we have to re-educate ourselves. We also have to understand, because we're always crying about, oh, I got to get that paper, I got to get that paper. We don't even have an understanding of where we came from in America. Do you? You have to remember that after the Emancipation Proclamation, they released all of the slaves into a capitalist system with absolutely no capital.
Right, no capital whatsoever.
None. None. No property, no law that the government was bound to respect, and no money. These were the conditions, and many of their families members scattered around to the four winds. So these were the conditions that they entered, and they were still within 20 years or so,
to achieve
and start building, start educating themselves and start building. But they had a different focus. Now people, we've come up with this strange little whore mentality where you measure everything by the amount of money you have and not by what your accomplishments are.
A fool and his money?
Correct. But also, we're not getting what we need to empower ourselves as people so that we are respected by people.
Do you think we want to? Because from the sounds like it, you and I, we get on, we do this every week. I always say reach one, teach one. But, and I'm not giving up, and I won't give up, But
I'm hoping it's generational shifts.
But we've lost 3 generations.
No, we haven't lost 3 generations. We lost 1.5.
Okay, I'm what, 4? Okay, you might be right. You might be right.
Yeah,
I'm sitting there, I forget how old I am.
You'd be the 3rd generation.
Right.
You'd be the 3rd generation.
Right. What is it? What is it? We still.
Well, after the civil rights movement, it seemed like we had achieved everything. It seemed like white America now loved us. We had the vote. We had made significant strides in revoking the Jim Crow laws and opening them up education. And so we sort of given up. But the powers that be never gave up. So the whole time while we were celebrating the fact that everything was better, they were working on revoking the Voters' Rights Act, revoking even Abortion Rights Act, or Women's Rights Act.
Going back in circle. Going back and again.
They were actually working. They never stopped working.
As we stopped.
And we stopped. We stopped. We sell. It's like Moses. I mean, Moses went up to the mountain and everybody said, "Break out the reefer." You know?
But you know what it sounds like, though? And maybe this, I don't want this to come out like I'm going to say it, but desegregation is what killed us.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
When we were segregated, who do we rely on? Ourselves. Our community.
See, but if all they got to do is give you what you asked for
but they
to
didn't.
beat you.
They did.
Well, say they give you what you asked for to beat you, then the problem is you, not them. If all they got to do is
point taken.
That's a good point. That you can shop in my store and all of a sudden you go blah, 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 blah.
But that's what happened.
Then the problem is you, not
that's
them.
what happened. Then that happened to us as a community then, because when we were forced because look at it, we were forced. It's like the TV show Black. They got this TV show Blackish. Right, with Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah.
And Anthony Hudson.
Now, they got some old men in there supposed to be Blackish. Now, I'm telling you, you might get the kids to be Blackish, but you ain't getting Grandpa to be Blackish.
Right. He's still black. He's still black, which was Lawrence Fishburne.
That's right.
Right.
Grandpa ain't never going to forget.
But you know what? And then that's culture, because remember, there's...
No, that's programming.
You think so?
They're telling you that Grandpa is Blackish.
Right.
And you know damn well Grandpa ain't Blackish.
What the international symbol for any black person anywhere in the country was, if you didn't know him, was...
Yeah, but if you mentioned Facebook,
right?
What is ish on Facebook? What's the equivalent? What is it? When they say they on some ish, what are they saying? That's right. That's right.
I can't say that.
That's right. Well, you know
right. That's exactly
internet lingo.
Right.
Is, that's right. That's exactly what it is. A bunch of doo-doo.
Doo-doo.
So it's programming. It's generational.
Right.
It's generational.
It's definitely generational.
But I actually think that there is a generation that's coming up now that is more focused on actually achieving things and getting back to where it was. So, I mean, you take 2 steps forward, you take 1 step back. If you take 1 step forward and 2 steps back, we got a problem.
We got a problem. I think we got a problem.
We have a problem, but I also see a generation that I think is going to do us proud.
Now, what about the other brown people, the Hispanic community? Do you think they have the same problem we have, or worse?
I think they have the same problem. In some ways it's worse, in some ways it's better. They have a cultural identity that we have abrogated, which no one else has abrogated. There's a book written by Amy Chua and her husband, Jed Rubin. And the name of the book is not Triple Threat, but
it's triple something. Right.
And it's a study of cultures, not individuals, cultures that have succeeded in the United States. Now, they don't study black culture because blacks are, by and large, a failed corporation.
Right.
But they do study
Not by and
Jews.
large. Not by and large.
And Jet Rubin is a Jew, so don't get mad at me.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And Amy Chu is Asian. They're husband and wife.
Right. So
She's the tiger mom.
Right.
She's the tiger mom. So they've studied different cultures and whatnot as to why they're successful, and they've listed the things that they say makes for a successful culture. By definition, they are culturally strong. We're the only culture that are not culturally strong.
Well, a lot of it comes from they teach their kids in other cultures understand the basic principles of rich and wealthy.
Well, not just that, as cultures. Even if you get rich, an Italian never stops being an Italian.
None. Asian never.
Right. And I live in the East Village.
Right.
And in the East Village,
and I live in Upper East Side, which is all Jewish.
But this is what I'm saying. In the East Village, it's like a whole lot of people all together, but they all are cultural packs of people.
Right.
So up the block from me is the Lutheran church, where there's nothing but Irish people there. Father Pat the bank robber is up there.
South of you is Chinatown.
And they are culturally Irish. We all get along. We all are respectful of each other. It's a true community, but no one gives up their culture.
Right.
You have people who have cross cultures. You have people who are married other cultures.
Right.
But those cultures don't give up the culture that they come from because they marry someone else.
Right.
You know, the Colombian guy who marries the Irish woman. Neither one of those gives up their cultures.
Right.
They just love each other, learn how to take care of a family, but they don't disown where they come from. We have Koreans who are married and going with this. They don't give up being Korean. We're the only ones who run from our culture. We are convinced to. I think it's programming. I think we are.
Come on, that's the word of the day: programming. Where do we take?
I started with I don't know, but go on.
No, where do we take responsibility for ourselves? You say
I've
programming.
already taken
Deprogram yourself.
That's difficult, but I don't.
It's not difficult now.
I don't know why.
It's called change.
It's so many things. There's so many variables that I cannot give you a definitive answer. The only thing I can say, whatever it is, it doesn't matter.
Right.
We have to change our condition. And the only way we could change our condition is to change our thinking.
Right. Change our ways.
Change our ways.
Change our ways, change the world.
Right.
You know, it's funny, but not that, like you say, everybody live in different communities. Crime, there's very low crime in your community.
That's right.
There's very low crime in my community.
Right.
There a significant
and people
amount
from uptown don't want to go back uptown once they get down. Right.
There's crime in Spanish Harlem.
Correct.
And above. Right. Now with that, we're talking on just the east side, we're talking Harlem, the Bronx, Brooklyn, and so on. Is that...
And it's a different kind of crime. It's not a crime of... And we got a call.
Let's take this call. Caller, welcome to 30 Frames.
Yeah, I'm curious. Tell me this, right? All right, you made the point of saying how, as African Americans, we were let loose in a capitalist society and whatnot, penniless, whirlwinds, and the whole nine. And you were speaking on culture. My understanding of culture is a way of life and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that for God knows how many centuries, we basically have been like devoid of a culture or a source of a culture. We just know of a continent basically and try to do our best, whether it's Dashikis music or whatever, to like grasp forward to the motherland. What is our culture per se?
Well, we don't even
like the Irish got the Irish. I mean, if they want you, they can basically take a plane ride to Ireland, look in the phone book, and they're gonna find somebody from back in the day, from their ancestors, and they can, and their ancestors gonna tell them about their people. But how do we get in touch with our culture, our true culture, and whatnot?
It's a good question.
Our true way of life, and whatnot?
Good question.
Because really, we're living in an insane asylum. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
We're
right.
basically like the rape victim cohabitating with the rapist and whatnot. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
I've been like beating myself in the head
Calling the rapist
to find
daddy.
out
Right.
what other people
Stockholm syndrome.
have
Right,
lived,
right, exactly.
you know, after being free, actually live with the slavery. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right.
What other people have done that? You know what I'm saying? I think we're the only people who haven't had an exodus.
Right.
And
Right.
so I'm just curious. What is our culture?
All right.
Well,
Now,
battered
before you
woman
answer
syndrome.
that, we run out of time. Let me take that other call. Caller, welcome to 30 Frames. Caller?
No.
Okay,
no,
go ahead.
no.
Answer that.
Well, first of all, we've lost all culture. We developed a culture in America that we no longer respect or honor. So it's true, we were totally removed from Africa. So that part of it, a lot of us are devoid of. But there's a lot of Africa that was in us that we developed in America,
right.
that kept us together, that no longer keeps
Right.
us together.
Right.
Now we separate ourselves by income and status within the culture, and we do it so much that we really don't even
purposely do it.
Right,
We purposely
right.
do it.
So the only ones who refer to a culture is a culture of ignorance.
Right.
I mean, jazz was culturally bonding.
Right.
It had to be studied. It had to be learned. It wasn't something you could just like write down some crazy words that you couldn't even spell if you tried to.
Right.
On a napkin, you know, and you know, a whole lot of beads and you know,
Right,
and all
right.
that crap.
Sure.
You had to study jazz. It was a higher form of learning, and then there was a cultural awareness to it. The art, the whole Harlem Renaissance.
Right.
It was African American culture, and like I said, the whole thing of answering to everyone, every mother, every adult in your community was a cultural strength that we no longer have. So not only don't we have the support system of knowing who we are as African,
Right.
which is bad.
Right.
We don't have the cultural awareness of being Africans who were brought to America, who bonded together out of nothing and created things that ultimately influenced the whole planet.
Right.
Yeah, in World War II, jazz was the only thing. Look
Right.
at it.
Oh, out of time.
We got like a minute.
Right. Hey, well, I want to thank
Oh,
everybody.
man,
The
this
callers
is like-
are great. I didn't even
yeah.
have a chance to. I didn't have a chance to rebut to that.
Right,
I want to
right.
thank everybody for watching, and I thank everybody for the phone calls. And you know what? Keep watching us every Tuesday, 2 o'clock on the Time Warner channel. All right, you know, channel 34 or MNN.org.
I love y'all, man. Y'all keep calling in. Y'all make me smarter. You keep me on my toes. You keep me studying.
I thank you for having me.
You know.
You know, and this is this show. This is this show.
This is everybody's show, and it's your show.
Yeah, thank you. But I am really honored and blessed to have this guy let me host 30 Frames, and I appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And as D'Angelo would say, we out. That's right. That's right.